Let's go and wrap this episode up. Now, mind y'all, if you've been one of my couples, you know that in the morning of your wedding, I send you an email. Happy whatever day of the week it is, almost Mrs. whatever your new last name is going to be. I check on you to make sure you're good. I ask, do you have any questions? I remind you of things that you needed to do prior to the night before. So for this bride, I did this exact same thing. And I actually reminded her to bring the marriage license, right? Because this is something we need, okay? She tells me that she forgot it at home, but the groom is still at home. I'm like, all right. So I don't even take it upon her to call him. I step out of the room. I call the groom. I says, hey, blah, I need you to bring that marriage license to the church. As soon as you get here, I need you to give that marriage license to me. He says, all right, I got you. Could you ask her where it is? I asked her where it was. She said it was in a drawer inside of their bedroom. All right. I told him this. He says, I have it in my hand right now. I will bring it to the church. All right. Sounds like a plan to me. Groom comes. Y'all already know, right? Groom comes with no marriage license. Help me out, y'all. Why are they not listening to the things that I need to be done? We cannot get married without a marriage license. That's a problem. So instead of dealing with the bride, I asked the groom, is there anyone still in the area of the vicinity of where you all live that can go into your home and get this marriage license? Because my minister is en route and he's going to ask for the marriage license from me, because that is what I told him. I would have it and I would give it to him upon his arrival. He says, yeah, my sister is still at the house. I'll have her bring it. I'm like, could you call your sister now? Call your sister now and ask her to bring the marriage license in my presence so that I know this thing is going to be arriving. He says, okay, I got you. He calls the sister. At least that's what I assumed he did. He's having a conversation, telling her about it's in the drawer, blah, blah, blah. I can't hear on the other side, but I believe we should have this handled, right? The marriage license should arrive to the church just in time for this ceremony to begin. So me and my assistant, we finished setting up the few things that we need to set up, and bride is now getting dressed, photographer, videographer. People are now starting to also arrive. And so I'm thinking that we might not be 30 minutes off for the start time, maybe just about 15 minutes, because I was sure that everyone was not going to be there. And remember, they had more than 150 guests, all right? So anyways, it's now time to line everybody up. I got the minister and the groom and the groomsmen and the bridesmaids and blah, blah, blah. And the minister pulls me to the side. He says, Desiree, I still have not received the marriage license yet. I probably should change the title of this story and call it Missing Marriage License, right? And I'll think on that. Anyways, I'm like, okay. I'm like, groom me. Groom me. Where's the license? He was like, oh. Yeah, he just said, oh. I'm like, where's the license? The minister needs the license. He was like, oh, okay. Yeah, my sister, she forgot it. We're going to have somebody go back to the house and get it. Y'all got to be playing with me. I'm literally now only 15 minutes off of my timeline, and you talking about somebody got to go all the way back home to get the marriage license that I've been asking y'all for 48 hours? He says, yeah, I'm going to have to send somebody back to get the marriage license. Do y'all know that he asked somebody, I have no clue who it was, to go back to their house to get the marriage license? Let me speed this thing along and let me just tell y'all the truth of the matter, okay? The marriage license, yeah, the thing that we've been missing for the last 48 hours, the couple never secured the marriage license, y'all. They were not ever going to be able to get married on this day because they never went and got the license. After playing with me for 45 minutes, they come clean and says, yeah, we don't have the marriage license. Could you bring the minister in here? We need to talk to him. Y'all played with my emotions. Y'all know what I'm saying? They played with my emotions. I literally was 15 minutes off for the ceremony. You sent somebody away, which I don't know if somebody actually ever left, but we paused for another 45 minutes because you told me that the marriage license was at home, when in all truthfulness, the marriage license was never at home. Anyways, let me just say this, and because I don't use names, it is what it is. The ceremony happened, but they were not legally married on this day simply because there was no marriage license. But because of decor and all those things were set up, the minister decided to perform the ceremony and that they would all meet up at another time for him to sign it or do whatever they do behind the scenes. All right. Whew, you talking about stress. I was so over it at this point. But let's move this thing along because now we got to leave the church and head on over to the reception with all of those wedding guests now needing to be seated. Yeah, so they had 150 plus wedding guests because remember, she was mad at me because they mailed off all those invitations. The venue was able to accommodate, so no issues. When the guests started to arrive, my assistant, as well as another coordinator, were there to help the guests get to their seats. We discovered something, that a lot of the guests that were arriving were not on the guest list. They were not on the spreadsheet. All right. So needless to say, when she shared with me that she had more than 150 wedding guests and she had given me the spreadsheet, just like with that marriage license, she was not truthful. They probably had an additional 30 to 40 guests. So yeah, all of those 200 and some people they thought that could potentially end up at their wedding. Y'all listen, most of them showed up and we didn't have seating for them. Dear God, now I've got to deal with the venue, asking them, which is the horrid move for any planner, you already know, is to bring in some additional tables, to bring in some additional chairs to accommodate these guests who just happened to show up, but actually RSVP'd, but didn't have a seat because the couple, in all truthfulness, come here, they knew this was going to happen. They just didn't want to pay for the extra guests. They just kind of assumed that these people wouldn't show up or some people wouldn't show up, and then it would all balance out. Guess how that looked? There were tables in there that didn't have centerpieces because we got to bring extra tables and chairs, and it was a mess. People just started sitting anywhere and everywhere they wanted. And please believe it's in my contract. If I don't have that proper seating and you come at me with this type of mess, I'm going to let them sit wherever they want to. I'm going to make sure mama, daddy, grandma, grandpa, the best aunties, the best uncles, all of them got the good seats. The rest of y'all guests, sit wherever y'all want to. I'm not even going to worry about it. But here comes the couple. All right, the couple comes after they've taken their wedding photos in the beautiful snow outside. They come in and the bride is looking at me sideways. She comes in mad. Desiree, the guests are not seated where I want them to be seated. Such and such is over here and they should be at this table and blah, 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 blah. Pipe down, honey. Calm down a little bit. You knew. You didn't share with me, but you knew you had all of these people coming to this venue. You knew it. And I did my best to seat them wherever I possibly could, getting extra tables, getting extra chairs into this venue so that everyone that you invited could be accommodated for. So I apologize if such and such isn't at the table you want them to be at. I had to do the best I could. I shared this with her. I had to be all honest with her. This is kind of your fault, ma'am. I understand you want to blame me for having given you 200 wedding invitations, but nowhere did I have any straps on you, chains on you, locks on you to mail off 200 wedding invitations. And even when you decided started to get those RSVPs, you could have shared with me that you had all of these guests coming and we could have planned accordingly, but you didn't want to pay for them. You just kind of thought that we could scrape this under the rug or push this under the rug and we wouldn't have to worry about it. And now we're at wedding day and all of this is smacking you, me, and everybody else in the face. So honey, line up. Let's go ahead and announce you all into this reception so we can get going so I can go home because I'm tired of being out here already. But let's move on. All right. So the reception, we do the things that we're supposed to do, cake cutting, dances, all of those. And the party seems to be going fairly well. All right. But then the manager pulls me to the side because the story couldn't just conclude here. She says, Desiree, do you smell that? I'm like, no. She's like, I need you to come out in the foyer. I need you to smell this. So I step out in the foyer. I'm like, what am I about to smell? Y'all. I don't even know how to say this because I don't want to get flagged. But there was a scent of cannabis in the air inside of the venue. All right. And if you live in Illinois, first of all, one, you cannot smoke inside of any facility, any venue. All right. You have to take that outside. But at the time of this wedding, let me say it again. At the time of this wedding, cannabis was illegal. All right. You couldn't do that in public. There were no dispensaries and things like this. And inside in the foyer, there is a scent, actually a pretty heavy scent that was noticed by the manager of cannabis. Yeah. And guess where it was coming from, y'all? The men's restroom. I said, okay. She says to me, the manager, Desiree, I need this to cease because we could, I could call the police and blah, 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 and we'll have to end this reception and all these things. And I'm like, we already got all this drama that has been going on all day. Let me go into the men's restroom and stop this mess, all right? I go in, I knock first, all right, to make sure that everybody is covered, all right? I go in there. Y'all, guess who was in the men's restroom doing the groom, y'all. The groom and his groomsmen are having a nice little separate party in the men's room with cannabis, aka weed, on wedding day, inside of the bathroom. Y'all, I was like, sir, if you don't cut this out right now, they about to shut your reception down. You know this is illegal. You can't be in here doing this inside of these people's facility. What are you doing? Take that home later on the night at the after party, whatever. But I'm going to need y'all to cut it out in here before they shut this mess down. And your bride, who already got a little attitude because it's 5,000 people at the reception and she only wanted 150. And now you got the potential of being kicked up out of here. I'm going to need you to fall back, sir. I'm going to need you to dull the scent up in here. And I'm going to need you to put out that ingredient that you are smoking on. All right. He giggles. Y'all, he laughed at me. He's like, all right, Miss Desiree, I got you. Yeah, when I tell y'all, this one was a doozy for me, and I was very happy it was over. Needless to say, I will round this off and say very much so. The bride and the groom did thank me after the fact, all right? And they were very pleasant about it. I didn't have a nasty email or any of those things. So all is well with the world. Thanks for watching this episode of The Wedding Tea. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.